Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to do a update on our feeding video. We did a feeding video a little while ago, but it's become very popular, that particular video, and we've changed our feeding regime based on some new evidence and ideas essentially. So we thought we'd do an update on that feeding video and a few of the reasons why we've changed to the way we do it now. So first off, hatchlings. Our hatchlings, we feed one of two sizes, depending on the size that they are. So we either feed them a, rat pup either way. This would probably, some cases, get called a teddy bear. That would be their first meal. I don't do smaller. The only time we do smaller is if you get a particularly tiny baby, like for example, when that clown girl hatched last year and she was like 13 grams, then yeah, we'd go down to maybe a pinky. I have a scale prepared just so that this time we can show you some weight. So that rat pup, the smaller end is 17 grams, the larger one is about 25. Okay, so these are sort of the ideas, these are the sizes that we feed freshly hatched babies. We've also come to know that essentially when it comes to first meals, the most important thing is that they feed, regardless of what it's on. So we will try rats. We've actually stopped trying to offer defrost for 4 weeks. We just, the most important thing is that they eat as quickly as possible. So I might try defrost. If not, same day I'll throw in a live rat pup, just because we have them, available. We'll also try live mice, frozen mice, Maltese, whatever they have. And by the way, last video there was a lot of comments saying, what are Maltese? Maltese are multi-mammate rats. They're the closest thing to a ball python's natural prey source. So typically, they're far more fond of that kind of prey. But the idea is we need that thing to feed as quickly as possible. Once it starts to feed, then we're good in that respect. So in terms of newly hatched babies, if we take a look at this one here, bring this guy over. So this boy has had 1 meal so far. Pull him out. And he's had 1 meal last week. He's currently, what is he? Because I know some people ask for grammage, so we'll see. He's 69 grams, okay? So freshly hatched baby. And this is actually a Mojave blackhead het hypo pos het G-stripe pos het pied, made by Python Junkie. But we have him here, so at our disposal, we can show you actually. I'm gonna try him on, that would be the size he had last time. We'll see if he wants. Do you want that one? No? You scared? Yeah, bright lights, my voice. So this is normal for, oh. Did you lunge there? No? You don't want it? You sure? You sure? Right, I'm not gonna fuss you anymore. But basically that would be the size prey that baby would eat. And that's what I'd offer them. Now what we've done in terms of hatchlings, once they've had their first meal, we feed them a rat pup once every 4 days for the first 4 weeks, okay? So every 4 days, we'll give them a rat pup, and that will last for the first 4 weeks of life. Once they've gone through the stage of every 4 weeks, they then get moved up to small weaners, which is stage number 2. So this boy will now be every 4 days offered a rat, and usually they'll take. Once the first month has passed, we then upgrade. And then we sort of start to get to round about this size, okay? So they'll get to around about this size. What is this boy at now? So this is a pastel orange dream. Sorry, a firefly orange dream. Oh, I should really pick it up. I think it's 138 grams. The 139 grams, there you go. So at this stage, they'll be offered small weaners, okay? And the small weaners, actually this isn't even a small weaner. That's closer to a small weaner. But somewhere between that, you have to base it on the animal itself. So where some snakes will start on that every 4 weeks, they might need to progress onto a smaller size of small weaner for a short duration before they can actually take something on the larger scale, which is closer to a large weaner. So in this case, I'm gonna offer her this, or him, you can take that, yeah. So they will be on that. Now once they are on small weaners, they will remain on small weaners every week. So once every 7 days. They don't get offered every 4 days anymore. They go to once every 7 days. And that will be them until they're capable of taking a large weaner. So once the animal's got to a stage where it can take a large weaner, and I've got two here. I've got what I would consider a small weaner. Well, a large end of a small weaner, 73 grams. That's a very, very small large weaner, or a very, very big, yeah. So a very small large weaner, or a very big small weaner. It's confusing. Either that, or we got something like this, which is closer to a small rat. This is the large end of a large weaner at the moment. For me, a small rat constitutes something above 100 grams. So this to me would be still a large weaner, although it's on the biggest size of the bracket. So I've got either end of the spectrum here to show you in terms of the different sizes of large weaners. This is at the very, very bottom of that bracket. This is at the very top of that bracket. So again, just like with the small weaners, once they're onto large weaners, they're on it for once a week, once every 7 days. And we'll bring out someone to demo this for us, if he doesn't eat me first. Here we go. So Jay comes closer again. So this is an animal we hatched this year. Again, on this feeding regime. He wasn't quite on the every 4 day thing because we hadn't come up with that yet. A lot of the information that we're giving you now is from trial and error that we've done based on what others have done, okay? Based on advice and really monitoring what other people are doing and have been successful with. This is why we've adapted our feeding regime. So this boy here was hatched about 4 months ago. He's currently about just under, I think he's just shy of 400 grams. I'll pop him on the scale. He's actually on the scale. So he's about 345, 350 grams. He won't stay still. He won't stay on the scales, and these scales are a bit temperamental. So you can see he's not fat. He's nice size. He's a nice lean shape. So he would be offered that. So I would probably go for a middle bracket, but it doesn't matter. Again, in the last video I mentioned about not leaving a grotesque size, but leaving a lump in the animal. And actually, this is a bit small. So I'm just going to give him the bigger one. It'll be a nice meal for him. Oh, let me just double check. Yeah, that should be alright. Okay, here you go, boy. You want it? You want it? Go on. Take it in. Take it in. Look at you. Is this going to be big? Do you want a smaller one? No, you want that one. Okay, so he will be eating that. Probably on average slightly smaller than that, but he'll be eating something along those lines. In terms of weight of rat, probably somewhere about 80, 85 grams, somewhere in that region, that middle ballpark for a large weaner, every 7 days. And they will remain on that until I feel that they can take a small rat. And in the last video, I'll close this up. So everything in here is on a large weaner once a week. Once every 7 days, they take a large weaner. So to recap, hatchlings, rat pup of appropriate size, once every 4 days for the first 4 weeks. Once they've gone through that, they'll go on to small weaners, okay? Which he's currently eating, so I'm not gonna show it because I don't want to disturb him. A small weaner once a week, so every 7 days, until they can take on large weaners. Once a large weaner is an appropriate sized meal, I'll then put them onto large weaners through that weight bracket. Remember, we have the luxury of being able to pick the exact size we want. If you're ordering in, sometimes you can get you get a mixture of sizes, so you can use that to your advantage. But once you feel that they can take a large weaner, we'll put them on a large weaner then once every 7 days. They stay in here for once every 7 days. Once they can take a small rat, and this is an example of a small rat here, and this rat here will be over 100 grams. I don't know how much exactly this particular example. There you go, 135 grams. That is a nice sized small rat. Again, from the last video, we do not feed anything bigger than a small rat anymore. Small rat is the largest thing we feed. The thing we have changed is the frequency, but we'll go next door to explain that to you. In here, obviously, we have the breeding room, and we do one of two things now. Males don't go into small rat phase unless they are breeding. And if they're breeding and they're on the slightly smaller size and they can take small rats, I'll feed them small rats during the breeding season just to give them the extra bit of nutrition. Otherwise, they don't get offered anything above a large weaner. That's the standard size for males. We do have the odd male that's quite large, Moving forward, however, the likelihood is that where we'll be recycling or upgrading, I should say, the animals on a frequent basis, we'll never end up with giant females or giant males anymore. They'll all sort of be, the males will be in the sort of sub 1,000 gram mark, the females sort of up to 2,000 grams, depending on which ones we're keeping. Now, the key thing we've changed is we no longer offer weekly. We offer once every 14 days, once every fortnight. And to be honest, I have considered once every 3 weeks. The reason is Dr. Warran Booth, and I'll see if I can find the link to the video and to the podcast that I listened to where he was talking about rodents essentially, and the ball pythons in general. But he was talking about the idea of when an animal like this feeds, they go through a metabolic change. And they go through physiologically, so their internal organs physically actually change shape. Their hearts get bigger, different organs enlarge to put them into this high stress, highly active state for digestion. In captivity, we feed them so frequently that they remain in that state constantly. They are always stuck in that high stress state. So realistically, they don't need as much food as we think they need, right? So based on the fact that that high stress state lasts about 2 weeks, roughly just under 2 weeks, about 10 days after a meal, it gives them a few days off to actually fully process that meal and then take another meal. We found they're doing really, really well. We've only implemented this for a couple of months now, so we've not been doing this for a year or so, but in the couple of months we've been doing it, we've seen some very, very good results. We've seen some very good weight gain in a lot of the animals. A lot of the animals that we thought were going to take a while to actually get to size are actually growing to that size very quickly. One example, which we're actually going to be feeding today, is this champagne pastel desert ghost girl who changed her skin just for this video. She is doing fantastic. She is now sitting at about 1,500 grams. We didn't think she'd make this breeding season, but she's very quickly got up to size. And again, she's being fed one small rat every other week, every 2 weeks. And she's going to start, there we go. You always ensure a good feeding response as well. The animals are actually interested in food, so I'm going to feed her. You go, lovely. All right, it's okay. No, it's a rat, it's food. It's food. She's annoyed. She's like, why is this bright light in my face? Come on, lovely. Here we go. Go on. Tick. You don't want it, huh? To be honest, this is the off week. So these guys were all fed last week. She has just shed, so hopefully. She just shed for us this one. I'm gonna take this food. If she doesn't want it, it's fine. No, she doesn't want it. I'm not gonna stress her anymore. So this is actually their off week. And so let's pick someone else who's, no, Superfire bit me in the face. And she had the giant rat, so I don't want. Lucy could have, I suppose. Jay's just pointing at animals. I'm trying to think of an animal that I really want to have some grub extra, female-wise. What are you thinking? Pastel Het Red? Clown? Clown she did have a giant meal though. So, has she pooped yet? No. Pastel Het Red then. There we go. Pastel Het Red. Please refuse this meal and tell me that you're close to ovulation. You want a rat? Hey. Oh, you do, Jesus. Okay, so again, they're feeding on a small rat like that. It doesn't look that big. So when you then consider what we're feeding the hatchlings, it's almost the reverse. The hatchlings, to some people, seem to be having or being power fed. This isn't power feeding. In my opinion, this is appropriate feeding. But the hatchlings get the best start in life. They start off strong, they put on that weight, they're eating like crazy. Nice big size meals, they grow to that stage nice and quick. Once they get to this stage, then the feeding drops down to once a fortnight, once every 2 weeks. Not only does that then help with maintenance, because the animals, obviously being pummeled with less food, produce less waste. So it's easier to keep on top of the cleaning and maintenance of the animals. Equally, it seems to be good for the animals. From everything I've seen and from the people who've been doing this, it seems that this is actually one of the ways forward. And every now and again, I will give them a 3rd week off. So what I mean by that is, instead of feeding them on the 2nd week, so I'll feed them this week, won't feed them next week, Typically I'd feed them the week after. Every now and again I'll still skip another week, so they'll have 2 weeks off feed. I'll do that randomly. There's no schedule to how I do that. I'll do that randomly. And equally randomly, like last week, we culled a few of the breeder colonies. So a couple of the bigger girls got really large rats. And again, that's random for them. It just so happens when we have them, they have that one-off large meal, but that's not consistent. And that's not part of any sort of schedule, if that makes sense. These things are sort of random, and to introduce that randomness, because these animals don't fit into a routine. In the wild, there isn't a dinner bell that goes off every Friday or every Sunday in our case for feeding. What happens is they're opportunistic. If 10 rats flow by this month, they'll eat all 10 rats, but then next month there might not be anything, and the month after there might not be anything. So we try to keep small rat every 2 weeks as the general rule, but then we will break that every now and again. We either extend the off feeding period, or we will offer a random large rat when we have one available from our breeding rat breeding shed. So guys, I hope that update is helpful. Again, this is how we do things. This is not us telling you how to do things. This is simply, this is what we do. This is what we found success with, and we're sharing it with you. We obviously will try and leave as many sources below for you to go and link and watch other or listen to other sources of information where we've collected a lot of this information, compiled it together, and decided to move forward in this direction. The animals seem to be doing great. We're really happy. One thing I didn't mention about earlier is obviously the cost. Not that that should always be the forefront of our minds, but it is a consideration. Now, if it's better for the animals and it's cheaper to essentially keep them, then it's a no-brainer, right? For us breeding the rats, if the rats don't have to be producing whatever it was, 400 rats a week for us to be able to feed everything, and now they only have to do 200 rats on average a week so that we can feed every other week, that's brilliant. The animals are doing fantastically well. We will do a video very soon on updating of what happened this season and breeding this season and why they screwed us and why hopefully very soon we should be back with a lot of clutches because the girls are going to finally do me proud. If you have any questions, leave it down in the comment section below. I will respond to them, or message us on Instagram at MJ's Pythons. Hopefully something fancy came up. If not, I don't know how to do it. I would say Facebook, but don't bother with Facebook. I don't use it that much. So Instagram or the comment section, any questions. Don't forget, it's been a while. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, guys. Your support means the absolute world to us and motivates us to continue making these videos. If you have any suggestions or any questions on videos you'd like us to cover, in terms of topical things, in terms of actual husbandry or keeping or what we do on a day-to-day basis, do leave it down in the comment section below and we will read through it and add ideas to new videos that we can do moving forward. And until the next video, which will hopefully be next week, we'll see you then. Bye.